Hi artists! Here again, ready to do some art with the supplies that you have in your house. Today we're talking about the word symmetry. Symmetry means the same. So when we're talking about symmetry, we're talking about something that is the same on both sides. So, something that would show symmetry. First is this earring right here. You can see there's a center. If we drew an imaginary line down the center, it has a flower on each side, and then it has the same gems on each side of the earring. So that would show symmetry. Let me show you a couple of other examples I found in my house. This is my boot. This design, this stitching on the top of the boot is symmetrical. That's what we say when something is the same on both sides. Now this, it already has a line down the middle of it. So it shows it's symmetrical because these designs are exactly the same. So if we could take this and fold it together, it would line up exactly. One other example I have of symmetry, this is a game. You have to try to get the ring off of these two horseshoes, which seems almost impossible, but you can do it. So with this ring in the middle, that's almost like our imaginary line. It's the exact same on both sides. It has a horseshoe on each side, and then it has two chain links on either side. So that's symmetrical. Now there are things that are not symmetrical. So that means they are not the same on both sides. We call that asymmetrical. An example of asymmetrical would be this little patch. I made this patch, and if we put an imaginary line in the middle of it and folded it together, the sides would not match up, so it is not symmetrical. Another example of something that was symmetrical but is not anymore, this is asymmetrical. This pair of shoes, they used to be symmetrical because they used to both have two straps, but this one got chewed off by my dog. So now these are asymmetrical. So supplies you're going to need for this, pretty much anything around your house, but you're going to need two of each thing. We are going to make a symmetrical castle. So I've collected a few things, and I also have, my container drawer is right here. So what we're going to do is create some sort of castle using things that are symmetrical so that it's the same on both sides. So if we put an imaginary line down the middle of that castle, it would be the same on our left-hand side and the right-hand side. Now, here's one thing. You might be thinking, I don't know if I have two of the same thing. It's okay. Here's one option. For example, I have a few canned goods in my house, but I don't have a lot of the same thing. I do have 2 cans of beans, but I only have 1 can of tomatoes and 1 can of pumpkin. That's okay. They're about the same size, so that would work for this project. Also, I thought about DVDs. I don't have 2 of the same DVD, but I have 2 cases. They're the same size, so they would work great when I'm working on my symmetrical project. I also have these containers. The containers are the same. They don't have the same thing in them. That's okay. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is take out my containers that I have available to me, or ice cube trays. For some reason I have 2 of a bunch of ice cube trays. And make sure that you check with someone before you just start taking all of the containers and things out of your drawers or anywhere in your house. And remember, you're going to have to put them away when you're done. So what I like to do when I start with something like this, because I'm going to want to stack all of these containers, I'm going to want to start by putting the lids on all of them. One thing that you might have at your house that I don't have at my house is Legos. Legos would also work great for this project. I think these are going to work great as a base. And we can also think about whatever's in the center, as long as it can be split right down the middle and folded in half, that could also be counted as something that's symmetrical. So maybe if I do only have one of something, for example, this container, if I put it here, oh, it's going to balance right there. It's going to be symmetrical because if I cut it in half and fold it together, it's going to be the same. So if I put one on this side, I have to make sure to put one in the same area on the other side. So this would also be symmetrical because I have it in the middle and I can split it up. Ooh, it's a little bit of a balancing game here. So one thing you're going to want to make sure of when you're working on this, that you're only using plastic containers, because I don't want my containers to be falling down and breaking. And there you go. There you have it, a castle. So I look forward to seeing your creations. Make sure that after you get done, be sure to snap a picture, send it to your teacher. Put all of your supplies away. So one thing you might be thinking is, Miss Schweitzer, I don't know if I have any supplies at my house to make this. Here's another option I'm going to show you. You could also draw a symmetrical castle. So come on over with me and I'll show you how you can draw a symmetrical castle.
All right, let's get started. Start by drawing a line in the middle of your paper. If you have a ruler, great. I used a book just to show you you can do it with something else. Then I used my ruler to start drawing my castle. The main thing is, whatever you put on one side of the line, it needs to be in the same place on the other side of the line. So I added different towers to my castle, different designs on the sides. Some flags. Now with the flags, I need to make sure they're pointing in opposite directions, so if I fold it together, they're the same. After you've added all your details, you can think about adding some color. I used some watercolor paint to add color. You can also use markers, crayons. You can even use a pencil to shade in different areas on your castle. The very last thing I did was added a background to my castle using my watercolor paints. This is an option for you. You don't have to add a background or anything, but you can if you would like to. Remember, if you're adding that horizon line, everything below the horizon line is ground, so it needs to be colored in all the way, and everything above the horizon line is going to be sky, so that also would need to be colored in all the way if you choose to color. The last thing you're going to do is snap a picture of your project and submit it. Thanks so much for creating with me today, and I cannot wait to see your creations. Bye!